Welcome to the C.L.I.M.B. This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. Leverage is what you're going to need to get ahead. About 10% talent, about 90% effort. Effort has to come out in the form of a track record. Whether you're a songwriter, a singer, an indie artist, a musician, if you want to get ahead, you've got to prove to them that you're serious and that you've already done a bunch of stuff. And then the people, the management, the labels, the publishing companies, the booking agents, they're going to come out of the woodwork and help lift you up, but they're not going to take you from ground zero up to the stratosphere. That's why we called this podcast The C.L.I.M.B. We want you to win, creating leverage in the music business. That's a Baxternym, and that's coming from my good friend and co-host, Mr. Brent Baxter. Brent's an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady Antebellum, Joe Nichols, and more. And what I love about Brent is he helps songwriters like you turn pro by revealing how you can write like a pro, do business like a pro, and on a regular, he gets you in front of the pros so you can connect and up your game, create relationships. You can find Brent very easily at songwritingpro.com. Once again, that's songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They're breaking artists digitally, and they're identifying new fans through data. If you're an artist looking to increase your streams, blow up your video views, sell more live show tickets, and get discovered by new fans, TV, and music industry pros, then Daredevil Production can help. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists such as Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That is production singular, no S, and there is no S because there is no other Johnny D.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
And I'm doing all right, just looking at my little dog here, Poppy, just sunning herself in my office here on the rug, and I'm hoping she doesn't make noise.
You have sun?
A little sunshine.
It's been raining for like a week here. I'm kind of over it.
Barely. We got, snow on the ground at the moment. So it's
okay, I feel better now.
Man.
We don't have snow.
Yeah, it's freaking freezing. Being the month of love, Valentine's month, and we're a little bit late for that, but I'm always late for Valentine's Day. We're going to talk about how to make a music publisher fall in love with you, musically speaking, of course. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to talk about that, some ways to woo them.
All right. Well, before we do that, let's take care of a little business here. It's a digital world out there, but it's still extremely important to have physical media to sell for today's independent musician. That's the stuff that's going to make a difference. That's going to matter. You're going to optimize your revenue streams. Digital royalty payments are so small, y'all, that selling products like CDs, vinyl, T-shirts has become a very important income generator. It's the tank of gas that's going to get you to the next town. It's the money you're going to have after the gig to go to Denny's and actually eat.
Oh, that's right. You know, for every CD that you sell, it takes 3,000 streams to equal the same amount of money. You know, we love streams, but dang, that's a lot of streams, just what you can make off selling one CD. And when they pay in cash, that cash that goes directly into your gas tank, you don't have to wait for it to come through. So I think you are leaving money on the table when you don't have merch on the table. So thankfully, our friends at Disc Makers are the folks to help you with said merch, such as CDs, other physical media, including vinyl, USB drives, and even T-shirts. And you can find them online at discmakers.com. That is DISC makers.com. Or you can give them a call at 800-468-9353. That's 800-468-9353.
All right. If you haven't joined the C.L.I.M.B community yet, please do so. We let everybody in, but you have to ask. Mm-hmm. This is a killer community, guys. This is not a Facebook group where if you post something and come back 2 weeks later, you're the last post that went up there. This is actively going on. Singers, songwriters, indie musicians, indie artists, people asking questions, songwriters hooking up, talking about their wins, getting real solid answers from people who are taking this as seriously as you are. Mm-hmm. And we're just super proud of that. So we want you to join there. Take 5 seconds, leave a rating and review. Okay, 25 seconds. We're trying to get to 200 on iTunes. Leave a rating and review. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you consume your podcast so you get all the episodes in a row. And finally, tell somebody about it. If this is working for you, if you're a climber, if you're consuming this regularly and it's making sense, then share it with other musicians, other friends. Let them know, hey, there's a lot of good info in here to help you move along.
That's right. And every week we post a few different things. We post a gig alert on Thursday so that you can share where you're playing out, but it's in a dedicated spot so it doesn't clutter up the feed. But if people want to see, hey, their fellow climbers, they've gotten to know where they're playing out, boom, it's right there. We also do a new heights segment every Wednesday where people go to share some of their wins. I'll just share one here. This is from a couple weeks ago now by the time you hear this, but our buddy Tom Grimes said his album Tarzan, I guess, not Tarzan, but Tarzan or I don't know how he says it. So is out now. Took a lot of work doing this on my own, so I counted it as a big climb to a new height. Hee. So it's almost entirely instrumental, but he shared a link for that, and he got some people saying congratulations and just cheering him on. And we got David, who just his punk rock soccer opera Goldfish mystery original cast recording is complete. Yes, you heard it here. Exactly. So Fish Snapped is released. So you got some people commenting on that. And so basically it's just people at kind of at all these different levels of from, hey, I got a cut to, I got some co-writes I'm excited about. I finished a song finally, and people just celebrating each other. So it's a cool community.
Right on. All right. So what are we going to get into here? How do we make a publisher fall in love with a songwriter?
Right. That's the thing about getting to a publisher and getting them to offer you a publishing deal. It's kind of like getting one to like propose marriage to you. Like it's a big commitment, and it's one that is not taken lightly by the publisher. Man, this music business is a tough business, and publishers need enough of their investments to pay off to keep the lights on. So just because you show up in their office one day with a cool guitar and like one awesome song doesn't mean they're going to like drop down to one knee and offer you a publishing deal, right? They're not going to drop a staff songwriting contract in your lap. The publisher has to fall in love with you, musically speaking. And so I've gone through and I've done some thinking about this, and I have about 6 ways or so to help them fall in love with you. Some ways to woo them, to romance them, to seduce them.
Does it involve roses?
Not so much. That might creep them out. Actually, I suggest not roses at the beginning. That would be weird. Thanks for that 10-minute meeting. Here's a dozen roses.
Whoa. Red.
Okay, now
I really
I'm
love
scared.
the shutters on your house too. I thought they were a nice addition.
Yeah.
Let me know if you need some help with that spot in your front yard. I'm really good with. Like,
yeah.
Wait, what?
I noticed your basement is a little cluttered. I can help clear you. How the hell do you see my basement? What the heck? Yeah, your mattress is not as firm as it should be. What?
You got to flip that every 6 months.
Exactly. Good grief. Yes, don't. Yes, that is how you run them off. So, okay, here's the first thing. All right, have sexy songs. Now, I don't mean make out songs. All right, I'm not talking about those kind of songs that where babies are made. Although that might be them. What I mean is there needs to be something sexy about your songwriting, something that captivates the publisher or something that pulls their attention back to your songs. So like maybe the whole song is great. Maybe the whole thing moves them to tears or to laughter, whatever you're aiming for. Or maybe there's that one line in that second verse that is so honest, so real that it takes their breath away. Maybe it's a hook, like melodic or lyrical, that they can't get out of their head. So basically, a sexy song is something about that song that sticks with the publisher after you leave the room, right? So when you see something sexy, it just draws your attention to it, right? You're like, I want to keep looking at that. I want to keep experiencing that. And maybe it stays with you after the sexiness is gone. Same thing with your songs. You just want something that draws their attention, their mind back to your song, something remarkable about your song. So something sexy. Make sense?
Yes.
Number 2, be yourself. All right. Publishers want to see the real you in your songs. They want some real heart, some real truth, some of what you have to say in your songs, be it happy or sad or funny or mad, whatever it is. So you might get a publisher's attention by dressing up your songs like Craig Wiseman, Luke Laird, Shane McAnally, Josh Osborne, Laurie McKenna, but it's your creative voice that if it resonates with them, right? Because it won't with everybody. But if it resonates with them, it can make them fall for you. We made the joke before about the Chris Rock thing. Like when you're on the first date, and you meet them out somewhere, they're not meeting you. They're meeting your representative.
That's right.
This is Brent's best behavior, his cleanest shirt, and he even ironed it or whatever. They're not seeing the real you yet. But in your songs, they want to see the real you because you can only hold up that representative thing for so long. And I remember I did a Play for Publisher event. This has been a couple of years now with Chris Oglesby for BMG.
Mm-hmm.
And people are asking, like, what kind of stuff should I play for a publisher? He's like, play me something you love.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't worry so much about targeting what you think I need and what you think I will like. Play me something that you love, because something that you love is going to be you. It's going to be resonant with who you are, your creative voice. And so if you love it, it gives me more of a sense of who you are. And as we grow together and you become more you, it's going to be probably more like that. That's a breadcrumb leading me to where, to your heart, to your true creative voice. And that's what he needs to know, because he's more than just looking for a song or two. He's looking for a songwriter. And all publishers are that way. If they're looking for a relationship, they want to know who you are, just because that's who they're going to be dealing with. You can fake them out for a little bit going, yeah, I can write these party songs. But really, I'm more like a sensitive balladeer kind of guy. But that's not going to get me a deal. So I'm going to keep writing these party songs. And you can only kind of fake it for so long before you burn out. Or maybe that's most of your co-writers that bring that and that kind of thing. And you're not going to be creatively fulfilled. And if you're not creatively fulfilled, long-term, that deal probably isn't going to work very well.
Hold on, I want to jump in for a second. So
yes,
this just brings something to mind. Like, you and I are always talking on this podcast about strategy and the best ways to approach publishers and different industry executives and everything. And so sometimes I think we need to make the distinction of, for instance, here's what made me think of this. We've talked about ad nauseum about how every publisher in town agrees, like, they get 90% of the songs they get are ballads, slow ballads. And they're like rolling their eyes like, ugh,
Mm-hmm.
And so if you want to get that cut, you really need to put some tempo to that song. And we've talked about even suggesting that writers change that. Take a ballad that you have and do another version of it. Speed it up. See what happens. What do you got to lose, right? It's just another version. It doesn't have to be, bastardizing your art or anything like that. It's a different way of looking at it. And it's art. You can do it 5,000 different ways.
Right.
But in this instance, when you're talking about getting a publisher to fall in love with you, we're saying, hey, they want to get to know you better. They want to get to know your inner voice better. So here's a situation where maybe you're not trying to sell the song. So the ballad is good to go in there. It's like, if you got like a knockdown, drag out hit ballad that's just really, really representative of who you are as an artist songwriter, because I always think of songwriters as artists. They're artists to me.
We are creatives. We may not be the artist on the stage, but we are creatives and artists.
And in the industry, art. There's a distinction between the two, but I'm still like, that's amazing to me, like how you do that. My point is that maybe that's not a song that's in style right now. So you're going and thinking like, okay, I got to get him something. What Oglesby was saying was, man, I want to get to know you as we're getting to figure this out. And then we can start talking about what kind of solo cups the market wants right now. But I want to find out how you make solo cups. I want to find out where you're at, what your head is at, because there might be something too where you've got a lyrical thing kicking. And maybe, and you tell me if I'm off base here on this, Brent, but maybe this guy over here, he writes killer up-tempo melodies and stuff, and he's just got this energy about him. This guy that just came into my office has got this lyrical style, but it's all like sappy love ballads. What kind of babies would they make if we put them together?
Right, yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean? I just want to kind of support what you were saying. With bring your absolute best stuff. Don't think about the market the first time in, because if you're thinking about the market, you're thinking about trying to sell the song, and you're not trying to sell the song on that first or second meeting with the publisher. You're trying to sell you. You're trying to sell a songwriter.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I mean, and it's all a balancing act, because on one hand, Tim Hunzy's talked about this, who's another publisher buddy of mine, that, I want to know that you care and have a feel for what he calls corporate radio compliant songs are, because eventually we got to kind of get there somewhat. If you want to get on corporate radio, it's got to be corporate radio compliant, and that changes over time and everything. So it helps where if it's not just completely off in another world, which can still be very intriguing if it's awesome. That's the thing. That's the get out of jail free card. If it's amazing, then be like, oh, that's amazing. I don't know what to do with that, but dang, that's cool. Then you're going to get another at bat just because it's so cool. So the thing is, they want to know you. I guess Chris Lacey, back when she was working on the publishing side at Warner, I believe. And I went in and played her some songs, and she was like, play me that song you had to write. The one that really means something to you. Why? She wanted to know me. a little bit more. Like, what's going on there? Is there a songwriter in there?
Yeah.
And that's what I do sometimes on Play for Publisher things. Like, there may be some songs that are kind of right down the middle, no flies on it. It's a good commercial song for this
meatball
publisher.
right across the plate. Yeah.
Right across the plate, but it may not kill me, but it's compliant.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's this other song that has a couple edges on it, but there's something really cool there it's not as compliant, but man, there's something there. I'm more likely to put the There's Something There song in there because I'm looking for writers. Yeah. Now, and then there are definitely songs that make it through that are you're right down the middle, but they're just the best. Like, they're really good. You're looking for, do I have a feel of who this writer is? So that's another thing. So we have sexy songs, something about your songwriting that brings the publisher back, right? And then the other thing is to be yourself. Third thing is be a good hang. You ever date someone who's good looking, but they just leave you exhausted, not in the good way, but in the bad way?
Yeah.
Somebody who is overly needy, they're pessimistic, they're a lush, or they're just addicted to drama, right? So eventually their good looks or good songs.
Talk too much.
Yeah. Or eventually their good looks or their good songs aren't worth the trouble. You don't have to be a publisher's best friend, although, hey, that doesn't hurt, obviously. But being a good hang is only going to improve your chances of getting to second base, musically speaking, with the publisher, right? Get that second meeting or third meeting. After all, if you get married, like with the publishing deal, you have to spend a lot of time together, both one-on-one in the office and out at industry events. You want those times to be enjoyable for both of you. So that's just another way to make the publisher fall in love with you. He's like, dude, that's just such a good dude. She is such a great hang. She's so cool. And I just love being around them. I mean, you hear that talked about a lot. We did a Know the Pro event earlier this week with Stacey Wilbur of Full Circle Music and talking about, hey, who are some of the people recently signed to publishing deals and what kind of put them over the top. And part of that conversation is how well do they fit in with people we already have here? Are they a good hang? Do they add to the vibe we have here? Or are they going to be a vibe buster? If you're going to be a vibe buster, if you're going to be the poison apple that spoils the bunch, they don't want you. There are enough other people out there with really good songs. They don't have to take the people with good songs and bad attitudes because that stuff is contagious. So people try to avoid that. So that is something that they think about. Hey, we'll put you with a bunch of our writers. If your songs are sexy and they like who you are, this kind of moving up the ladder here, we'll hook you up with some of our writers. And I want to talk to those writers. Hey, how was it? Were they joy? Would you want to write with them again? What they bring to the table craft-wise and creatively? But also, like, were they a good hang? Nah, I don't know. There's some stuff that worries me, some attitude stuff that worries me, that kind of stuff. It's going to matter. So being a good hang is important because also, if they take you to the ASCAP Awards, the BMI Awards, the CSAC Awards, the NSAI stuff, and you're kind of the embarrassing sibling or kind of thing that you're like, oh yeah, is there a way to not take Brent to this? Because he's kind of got that thing where he gets really, really awkward and he doesn't know what to do with his hands, and
he doesn't know what to do with his hands.
I don't know.
After his third drink, it's like the horns come out and you turn into Satan.
You're like, we don't want to take him because then he's going to scare people. That stuff matters. So you want to be a good hang. All right, ready for number 4 as we're going along here.
Bring it.
Be committed. All right. So it's good in relationships. It's good in publishing. By being committed, I don't mean that you have to prove that you're committed to that particular publisher. Like, you're never going to look for a deal anywhere else or play songs for another publisher. Okay. That's not what I mean. You want to show that you're committed to songwriting and the music business. You want to show that you're committed to getting better. You want to show that you're in it for the long haul. You're not just testing the waters and you're going to bail if the music thing doesn't work out. Publishers invest a lot into their writers. They're serious and they want to know that you're serious too. So you want to show that you're committed. And part of that is because they may date you, whatever, for a year or more. That Stacey Wilbur thing, they'd gotten to know this writer for over a year before they signed him. So it's that commitment. You show up once and you're like, yeah, I'm all about it. And I'm all about this music business stuff and writing. And then a couple months later, they don't hear from you for a long time. And then, hey, you got anything new to play me? Not really. Oh. And so it's showing that commitment that you're in it for the long haul and you're going to be writing songs whether they sign you or not. And you're going to be getting better whether they sign you or not. And you're going to be busting your tail whether they sign you or not. Because again, if they offer you a publishing deal, and this is a long-term investment, it's years. And they're hoping it's going to be like 20 years. that you can have success and all retire together. That's what they're hoping, right? It didn't often work out that way. But
They're
that's
thinking long game.
Exactly. They want to know that you're thinking long game too, that you're not just going to be a flash in the pan or wash out. So that matters as well. And the other side of long game, there's also the kind of the immediate number 5. They want to know that you have some good prospects. Okay. You hear that kind of in dating. Well, mom, he's got good prospects. Of course, it helps to woo a publisher by having like 3 songs on the charts, right? That's sexy as all get out. It was a lot easier for me to get publisher meetings after Monday Morning Church hit the airwaves and was climbing up the charts. And they're like, oh, yes, we're happy to have you. Can we buy you lunch? Right? But most people aren't in that position to be shopping for a deal, having songs already cut and on the radio, that kind of stuff. But the more you do have things going on, the more attractive you are as a potential staff writer. Publishing is a business, right? And the publisher stays in business by making money. So even if you aren't coming into the deal just crushing it yet, you want to show, honestly, that you have good prospects. It's like a girl thinking, yeah, he's broke now, but he's in med school, that kind of thing. Like, okay, he's not, but man, he's right there, and he's the people he's working with, and the relationships. Man, he's getting better and better. I feel like good. I feel like this is a good investment, right? So Gary Vaynerchuk, he's a marketer and social media influence, just all kinds of stuff. He's been very clear that many times that he passed on Uber for investing, like an angel investor kind of thing. Cost him millions.
Yep.
Right. Publishers are looking to invest. They want somebody that's going to pay off handsomely for the business, keep the lights on, keep their gig, right? Because they're trying to keep their gig, and it's hard to do that. So you want to be honest about and real about your prospects. You don't want to hype. Hype is not attractive. Pro can see through hype if you really have something going on or not.
Yeah.
But man, that sure helps to woo a publisher. This goes back to the whole thing of what we named this podcast, creating leverage in the music business. The more you have going on, the more leverage you have. And it makes you more attractive as a writer for a potential publishing deal. All right. You ready for the last one?
Bring it. Hit me with it.
All right. The last thing is you want to go on a few dates. All right. If you want to get them to fall in love with you, it's not going to happen on the first date. You want to go on a few dates. So a publisher who is interested in you will probably bring you back for several meetings, right? This gives them a chance to see if you're consistently writing new songs and writing them at a higher level. So it kind of goes back to the commitment thing we talked about, to show that you are committed. You are working on new songs. You didn't just come to town with a handful of songs and by golly, those are going to be the ones that work, and I'm just going to not write it anymore. It also gives them a chance to figure out who you really are, to be yourself, and if you're a good hang. So this happens over time, over meetings, over lunches, over being out at the same places, whatever. It gives them a chance to see if you're writing new songs, if you're learning. They'll probably also set you up to write with their writers as another way of checking you out. So we talked about that. They'll want to hear the songs you write with their writers. They know what their writers bring to the room. So it's also their chance to see how you play in the sandbox with someone else on the team whom they respect. And they'll usually ask the writer, hey, how'd that meeting go with Brent? How'd that meeting go with Johnny? How'd that write go? What do you bring to the table? How was it?
What was your experience? Yeah.
What was your experience? You want to do that again? If they're like,
now we're getting into, are you a team player? Yeah.
Yeah. Then it's like, poof, man, writing with Johnny was awesome. Man, he came, he had 3 or 4 great ideas, and he had this musical hook, and we just knocked it out, and it was a lot of fun. Oh, that's what they want to hear. And then they want to hear the song and love it, right? So they're getting a sense of like, okay, Johnny's bringing something to the party. This could be something. And he was a great hang. My writer likes him. Okay, this is good, because you got to fit in it. If the writer's like, dude, it was like oil and water, and we just basically argued the whole time, that's not good, right? Like, oh, yeah, let's put them under the same roof.
Yeah, just trying to shove his idea down my throat. He wasn't playing here, wasn't playing there, wasn't doing
exactly. Yeah, man, fit matters. So there you go. Those are 6 ways to romance a music publisher. Johnny and I, we hope you go out. We hope you find that someone special who's going to change your life, and you make hundreds of song babies.
And we're trying to help you with that all the time.
That's right.
All the time. We're trying to help you with that.
And maybe I can play matchmaker, which is one thing I love to do. Because, with Songwriting Pro, one of our core missions is to connect you to the pros, dear climber. So we have an opportunity to do that. It's time for Play for Publisher again, all right? On March 19th, I'm going to be sitting down with music publisher Woody Bomar of Green Hills Music. We're going to listen to songs from the Songwriting Pro and C.L.I.M.B community, And here's how it works. You enter your song. I listen. I choose the 10 I think have the best chance to catch Woody's ear in a good way. And then those 10 writers will join me and the publisher on a live Zoom video conference. And the publisher listens to your songs and he gives feedback. Now, this is a real meeting with a real publisher. And if, in this case, Woody Bomar finds something that just breaks his head open so good and he can go out and pitch it, he's going to want to go do that. This is his business, right? So this is live ammunition. This is live fire. This is a real meeting. It's not just, yes, it is for
real
educational
relationships
purposes.
have been made from this.
Yes, people like, hey, you live around here? Can you come by the office? Come by. Yeah, man, I like this. Let me listen some more. What else you got? You got anything? And it's a door opener, not a deal closer, because as we just talked about it takes longer than one meeting and one song to romance a publisher, but it can get their attention. And again, this is a real opportunity. The good thing is, okay, we got 10 writers who will get their songs played for the publisher, but everyone who enters a song, or at least pays to enter a song, will get to watch the video replay of the event. And this is going to be full of real world wisdom and advice for songwriters on the climb up. That's the thing. Woody's out there every day. He's slugging out. He's representing writers and he's pitching songs and he's all that stuff. He's dealing with it. He's up to his elbows and alligators for songwriters. And so he's going to be able to bring you that perspective as somebody who's doing it. When your second verse takes a hard left turn and there's an issue there, he's going to be like, you know what? That's going to be a problem. I wouldn't pitch this because of this thing, in your second verse. I mean, how valuable is that to know from somebody whose livelihood depends on getting cut?
I think that's the way you approach this thing, is instead of thinking about this like, I might get a cut. Mm-hmm. No, you're going to, no matter what, you're going to learn.
Exactly.
And even if you're on top of the game, right? Learning, to me, the big thing is like how much the tastes and the trends change in this town, depending on where you're sitting, depending on where you're listening to this podcast. It makes a difference as to how that trend hits you, right? We've talked about before with the Canadian artist that I worked with that you got a cut on, where she came down and she's wanting to do the Carrie Underwood thing, but the industry down here was already past Carrie Underwood, the angry
girl. Yeah, the angry thing, not Carrie, but the angry thing, yeah.
That's what I mean, yeah, just that kind of stylistic thing. And she was also married with a kid, happily married with a kid, and it just wasn't who she was. So, but it was like, that's, in her mind, that was where she was wanting to go, because they're still spinning that up there, but they weren't down, and the finger snap thing, we talked about that.
Yeah.
With the publisher going, if I hear one more demo with finger snaps on it, just immediately turns me off on the song. So it's just keeping up to date on what's happening right now. If you can't be here in town and you're not doing regular publishing meetings, man, this is a fantastic portal, VPN, right into the innards of Music Row to find out like what they're looking for, where things are changed, what things are passe now, so that when you are producing your demos and stuff, that you're not wasting your time, you're staying on top of it. What a great
because we'll talk about demo quality, we'll talk about what's in there lyrically, what's in there melodically, and just all kinds of stuff, because each one is a little bit different, because we have different publishers and they all bring their kind of slice of flavor to it. And that's why we don't just do a cattle call where it's like, hey, I'm taking the first 100 songs and we're just going to just, hit, the publisher with them. And it's going to be pass, keep. Right? We're doing verse and a chorus. We'll get as many songs out there as possible. That would give more people the chance to get heard, but I don't think it's as valuable, because those have a place. I used to do that at NSAI and I'm a big fan of NSAI, but you don't get the educational part of it. Because the most you go, they like that song. Okay, they didn't like that song. You may try to figure out on your own what it is. That's one reason we limit to 10, because we listen through the bridge, which is always, I was always hoping, just get to the bridge. We listen through the bridge on every song, and then we have a few minutes to get feedback, and you can ask a follow-up question. So you're able to learn and go, well, here's what I like, here's what I don't like about it, here's some suggestions I'd make or whatever. Here's what I'm thinking. Value. So if you're interested in the Play for a Publisher opportunity, we do these quarterly. So if you're listening to this in the future, I probably have another one coming up. The best way to keep up with that is to download my free ebook called Think Like a Pro Songwriter. And it just contains lessons from my years in the music business. And it's absolutely free. It's at giftfrombrent.com, giftfrombrent.com. Or you can go to songwritingpro.com and it's up there at the top. It says free gift. And you click on that, it'll get you there as well. So You just tell me where to send it. We email it out to you, but it also lets you know about events like this, how to enter, all that stuff. So keeps you up on the chance to connect with the pros. So that's it. Songwritingpro.com/
Honest to God, and I'm not just saying this on your behalf, but if I'm a songwriter and I'm trying to get cuts, or that's where I'm aspiring to go to and service like my community better, but I'm not in Nashville, right? So I got co-writers I'm working with, and in whatever community I'm in, whatever the part of the world you're listening to, I'd be doing this every quarter.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just even if I didn't have a song to put in there, I'd just be like, I just want to see what's going on. Hear what these other songs are happening. Hear what they got to say.
Exactly.
I would just want, this would be like a regular sort of lifeline in there. I would just want to know whether I had a song to pitch or not, and just figure that out. That's an education that, for whatever that is you're charging, is so invaluable.
It's an investment. And we have people that do it every time. And some people don't even enter songs. They just I just want to watch the replay and learn and get better and learn from people whose livelihood depends on getting cuts.
I promise you, if you do that every single quarter and make a habit of it, you're going to spend more money in 1 month on Starbucks.
Oh, for sure.
Or cocktails. And if you're me, it'll be one night. Anyway, guys, all right, that brings us to the end of another Killer C.L.I.M.B episode. Join the C.L.I.M.B community if you haven't done so. Subscribe wherever you consume your podcast so you get all the episodes. Take 30 seconds. Please leave a rating and review. We are trying to get to 200. Help us out. And tell a friend. Tell a fellow songwriter. Tell a fellow musician, a fellow indie artist. Let them know, hey, there's some good stuff in here. It's going to help you get your head on right and get you going straight. The reason we do this podcast exists because we want you to win. And the more people we can help win, the better it is. So keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.